Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, heard Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on PSA.com and the PSA Facebook page. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by PSA and the National Sports Collectors Convention. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, visit sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now, your hosts, Tom Zappala and John Molori.
JM, how are you, buddy?
What's up, pal? How you been?
Good. Kind of looking forward to being back in the studio with you guys.
I know you just said off the air you're heading making the trek back today as people are watching the show.
As we speak, what time is it? Let's see. It's 6:30. As we speak, Ellen and I are in Savannah, Georgia right now.
Now you're stopping there just for a visit? You know people, or what are you doing?
No. We'll just we like Savannah. Stop, have a little dinner.
Yep.
Stay at the hotel and then move on. Yeah, we take our time coming back.
That's
good. Three nights, 4 days. It's kind of like a little mini vacation.
It goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. But you know something? We're ready to come home. I miss New England. Miss Boston at this time of year.
Yep. Well, we miss you. We miss you too.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. All right, listen. Before we bring in Brian Dwyer from REA Auctions, our headline. Guess what it has to do with? Over 3,000 items, including a PSA 9 1955 Topps Roberto Clemente rookie card, are on the block at Robert Edward Auctions as it rolls out its spring auction. The last PSA 9 Clemente rookie card, JM, sold for $1.05 million. The auction also features several other notable classic cards and high grades, including Jackie Rob's 1949 Bowman PSA Mint 9, a PSA 9 1955 Topps Sandy Koufax rookie, Billy Russell's 1957 Topps rookie card 7.5, and Jimmy Brown's 1958 Topps rookie card SGC 8.5. Among the memorabilia was an early Babe Ruth single-signed baseball rated an 8.5 by PSA with a Mint 9 signature, a single-signed 1921 Christy Mathewson baseball dating to the 1921 testimonial game at the Polo Grounds, a 1940s Josh Gibson Type 1 photo, and a circa 1913 Type 1 Joe Jackson photo by Charles Conlon.
Wow. For
more information, you got to go to the REA auction site. If you want to read more on this auction, you can also go to sportscollectorsdaily.com. Sports Collectors Daily, our buddy Rich Miller and his staff, they do a great job.
Now, Zap, were you pals with these guys? Jackie Robs, Billy Russell, Jimmy Brown?
Can I tell you about the Billy Russell story? Actually, I saw Bill Russell. I bet you I saw him as a kid play 20 times.
Yeah, you told me you used to go to the games. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to, $2.
And you could get seats. It wasn't the Bruins.
$2 third
the
balcony.
Bruins were the attraction, not the Celtics, even though they were winning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Bruins always draw. The Celtics couldn't draw flies.
Right.
I mean, you go on a Sunday afternoon matinee game, there'd be 4,000, 5,000
Yeah,
people.
right.
We used to pay $2, start up in the third balcony and wind up on the floor. I mean, that's how we used to do
Unbelievable.
it. But and those were, there were some great teams. I mean, I saw some really good teams, but then towards the end of his career, 69, 68, he started slowing down.
Yeah.
But they were good. They came in fourth, I think, in 69, and still won the
And
NBA.
they won it. Yeah. That was when Jat Kent Cook had the balloons up at the Forum in L.A., and they never came down. Right.
That's correct. All right, listen, we have a good show today. Brian is joining us, Brian Dwyer from REA Auctions, and a little later on in the show, Jared Kavile from Pristine Auctions. They're kind of friendly competitors. So let's bring Brian right now. Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
Congratulations on the 4-year-old and the 2-year-old.
Thanks. I feel like I got a new kid every time I see you guys.
How you doing? Things are well?
Things are great. Yeah, I got this big auction like you just read, biggest ever.
Yeah, this thing is huge.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable auction. Like I had all my questions for the show done like on page 2 of the. It's like it's ridiculous,
It's
Brian.
It's packed.
An auction like this. Okay, so when do you start bringing in consignments for an auction like this? In other words, I know that like all of a sudden your phone didn't stop ringing. Is this memorabilia and are these cards that you've kind of been stockpiling over a period of time?
Well, I mean, we have 3 major premier catalog auctions every year, and that's in addition to the 7 or 8 monthly encore auctions that we have. So we have about 110-day auction cycle to build these auctions. So a lot of the materials come into us in the last 3 or 4 months. We do get some big collections, like we're working on a big collection of memorabilia and autographs right now that we picked up in January and will sell throughout the year. But a lot of it's a big 3-month sprint to the finish.
Hey, Brian, when you have an auction like this with so many great items, and we're going to get into the specifics, I mean, how do you decide placement, on the auction, on the website, so people see what, I mean, it's packed. Like you can go 6, 7, 8 pages deep and still see great stuff. But how do you decide what goes on that front page? And just the placement on the website? Because I think that's kind of an important part of presenting these items.
Yeah, so we've always taken the approach of let's make it as easy as possible for our bidders. So we run everything chronologically, and then we'll run them chronologically by sport or by theme.
Yep.
And then we pick about 15 or 20 what we call featured lots. And so featured lots are generally the items with the greatest value. You alluded to that Roberto Clemente card. That's $1 million card. That's going to be up front. We've got a couple other 6-figure cards and memorabilia that'll be up front. But deep in the book, there's still $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 items. So you got to really look at every page.
Brian, just to continue on that question that John just asked you. So, I'm cheap. I'll be honest with you. So when there's an auction like yours, the first thing I do is I go towards the back of the catalog, because in my mind, am I wrong? But that there are things there that are not going to get the bids that the items in the first 4 or 5 pages get, and there's some gold in there. I mean, is that the case, or am I wrong?
Well, I think what you're discounting is that for every guy that collects just these 6-figure and 7-figure cards, there's other guys that are looking for only Pokemon cards or only presidential autographs or only contracts or checks or photos or whatever the case may be. So when you bring, 10,000 plus 50,000 plus eyeballs to an auction, every page is getting looked at, and it's tough to find stuff that falls through the cracks. But we do have a wide array of material, and we do have items that'll go for a couple $100 in this auction. So you can be a player even if you're not writing $1 million check.
There are a lot of items that stand out, Zapp, and I know you'll back me up on this. You have to just kind of stop and click on it. The Christy Mathewson signed ball. I mean, and you have a Ruth signed ball too. I mean, but and not to poo-poo the babe, but the Christy Mathewson stuff. There's just a mythical quality about that guy. Can you talk about that item a little bit?
Yeah, so that autographed baseball actually comes from that collection of autographs and memorabilia that I alluded to earlier. So that was a big collection focused on Hall of Fame signatures, and it had a signed baseball from almost every Hall of Famer. And so that Mathewson ball is really special. Wow. I mean, he's an incredibly tough autograph. He's an incredibly valuable autograph.
Yeah.
This one comes with a full LOA, and it's got that very special tie to the testimonial game. So, Mathewson stuff commands because it's rare and it's desirable. And it was really special for us to get this one in.
What year was that from? Sorry, Zapp. What year was that from, okay, Brian?
21.
So, I always marvel at the fact that the signature, it looks really good on the site, that it stayed so clear and legible over that many years. It's crazy.
Yeah, we've seen stuff protected in a lot of different ways. We've seen stuff come to us in 40-year-old tissue paper or 100-year-old newspaper. So I think that people, and especially with the Mathewson ball coming from that significant game, I think people understood that it was not a ball to be played with necessarily.
Right.
Christy, there's a mystique about Christy Mathewson.
There is.
I agree.
Yeah.
John, I have that piece.
I know.
Brian,
I know.
That is I leave that in a safe. I very seldom just take it out to look at it. I have it's a nice piece. It's John, Brian. It's a first edition pitching in the pinch signed by Christy Mathewson. It's a cool piece.
Great
And
piece.
I just love, it's a great signature. I just like every once in a while, just take it out, open it up, and stare at the signature, and just close it and put it back in the safe. Something about Christy Mathewson that just resonates.
Yeah.
And also, another guy, Walter Johnson, same thing. Those two guys, for whatever, maybe they were just because they were just great guys, nice guys.
They were quiet demeanor. They weren't as out there as Babe Ruth or even a Ty Cobb.
Yeah.
They were just quiet guys. You're right, Zap. You hit that right on the head.
Brian, tell us about the Ruth Caramel.
Which one? We've got
I know.
we've got some great we've got some great ones to choose from. I mean, I assume that you're talking about lot number 1.
Yes.
So 32 US Caramel Babe Ruth PSA 8. I mean, this is such a special card. When I first got the email about it, I kind of doubted that it existed. I mean, this is a card that has not come up for sale in this condition in a very long time. 7s are knocking on the door of $100,000. And so to get an 8 is really special. I think it's been almost a decade since one of these has been sold in that condition. So we were thrilled to put it in the auction. We were thrilled to make it lot number 1. And already it's got tremendous interest because people know how rare the opportunity is.
What's your prediction on that? May I ask? If you had to venture a rough guess.
Those are cards that are really tough to price. I mean, the clearest comparison would be a Gowdy card in an 8. And so you see Ruth Gowdy's go for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. I don't think this is out of the realm of possibility. I mean, Gowdy's are obviously more widely collected than US Caramel Ruths, but I think that anybody that's looking for a really rare card, looking for an iconic card of Ruth, or is just building a high-grade Ruth collection, I mean, they'll need or want this. So I think it'll surprise some people when it ends.
Brian, you have some really neat photos in this auction, and Zap actually mentioned one of them in headlines that really kind of stood out, and that's that Josh Gibson photo. Was it 1950, 51, I think it was. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because it's another one of those guys, I think, that has a mythical quality about him.
Absolutely. I mean, so this Gibson photo, we sold it several years ago. We're now reselling it for the buyer from that auction. And I loved it then, and I love it even more now. It is such a great image. It's the image that's used for his Toleteros rookie card. And images of Gibson from his playing days are very rare.
They are.
Type 1s are even rarer. And anything that's associated with a card, and especially a rookie card, has just gone to incredible levels recently. So this ticks every box. It's just stunning. It's iconic. It's rare. It's mythical. I mean, it's just a phenomenal photo.
Do you get a lot of that, this sort of, I'm sure you get a lot of return customers because you guys are great at what you do, but someone that maybe bought something from a previous auction now coming back to sell it, does that happen a lot?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have loyal buyers and sellers, and they know that when they bought it from us, they got a great item, and they probably paid top dollar. We're known for these great prices, and so when they want to resell it for whatever reason, sometimes they're just moving in and out of items, other times they're downsizing, or they've just moved on. They come back and they let us do it all over again now with them as the seller. REA auctions, they're just fun to be a part of, whether you're buying or selling. I think guys like the energy that goes with our auctions. They like that they are these big hobby events, and they want to be part of it however they can.
We are chatting with Brian Dwyer from REA Auctions. Brian, you have a signed Ruth ball? You have a couple. Tell us, there's one that is like, wow, this sticks out. Can you tell us about that Ruth ball?
So we've got just a dynamite ball, a single Ruth ball from the 1920 season, graded an 8.5 by PSA. The signature's a 9. So, I mean, that's just a ball that the condition is exceptional. And then we've got balls signed by Ruth at various other price points. We've got a ball that came from an executive at Draper Maynard, so the sporting goods manufacturer. We got a number of original photos from that collection and a signed Ruth ball. Then we've got Ruth balls in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. So, the 1920 single, that's a six-figure autograph. That's the best of the best. But there's a little something for everyone if you're looking for a Ruth signed ball.
Hey, Brian, do you have any, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any interesting stories behind how you acquired these, whether that was the source of them, the consigners? I found, the old story, found it in my grandfather's attic while I was cleaning out, stuff like that. Any interesting sources in terms of these items?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, we seem to always attract great stories. We seem
Yeah.
to attract a lot of out of the hobby material. We've actually introduced a part on our website to specifically tell these stories. So we've got this section now called our consignor stories, where we profile some of the traditional collectors and then non-traditional ways in which stuff comes to us. One that's catching my eyes, coming to mind, actually has a New England connection. So we have a never before seen 1917 Babe Ruth brewery calendar. And it was discovered in a New England barn many years ago. And then it was actually brought to the hobby's attention on Antiques Roadshow.
Wow.
So the guy that found it in this barn in maybe Vermont or New Hampshire brought it to a roadshow taping. They looked at it on the roadshow. They put it on the air on the roadshow, and now he's decided to sell it. So that's a cool thing, tying in with a lot of people are familiar with the roadshow. I went to a roadshow taping myself 20 years ago, so that's one that's pretty cool.
Ellen and I still watch it whenever it's on. It's kind of I always enjoyed it. Brian, we've got a few minutes left for this first segment. You seem to have a lot of pre-1900 cards in this particular auction, like a ton of them. Number one, are those cards picking up ahead of steam? Those, not just Old Judge, but that all of those cards from pre-1900s. Is there more interest in those cards today?
I think we're seeing a lot of interest in the Hall of Famers from those sets. I think that people are not necessarily going to realistically build an Old Judge set, but they'll go and they'll collect cards of guys like Cap Anson or John Ward, or even non Hall of Famers but really good players like Bill Dolan or Jack Glasscock. I think that Mayos, for example, 1895. They're so underrated. They're so tough. I think that we've got a bunch of great ones in this auction that are exciting. So I'm personally a fan. That's where I started putting some of my money when I got a little bit of money to invest. So I'm a fan of those.
Yeah,
very, very cool.
We talked a little bit at the beginning about the depth of this auction. Brian, you've been doing this for a long time at one of the best places to do it. Do you look at this auction yourself and say, hey, this is, we're always good, but this is kind of a unique one. This is really packed. Or is it just sort of like, this is what we do?
No, obviously REA has a very high standard and reputation to live up to. And I think we do a great job auction in and auction out of meeting that. But yeah, to your point, I do look at this auction and say, this is deeper. We have cards from 1865. We have an 1865 Harry Wright card. And
Crazy.
Then we've got a 2022 Yu-Gi-Oh card, so it really it runs the gamut. It's got great cards. It's got great memorabilia. It's got over 480 lots of unopened some boxes. It's got dozens of tickets. Dozens of autographs, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, non-sports. It truly almost has something for everyone.
We are chatting with Brian Dwyer. We're going to take a quick break. Brian's going to be with us for the whole hour, Brian, right?
Awesome.
I'm here.
Awesome. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
Hi, everyone. This is Rico Petrocelli. JustCollect.com, a leader in the vintage sports card industry, is giving free appraisals on your vintage cards. They'll evaluate your collection for free and let you know the value of it at no cost and no obligation. If you're ready to sell, JustCollect.com will offer you industry-leading prices to buy your card collection. To begin your free baseball card appraisal, visit JustCollect.com or call them at 732-828-2261. That's JustCollect.com for your free vintage card appraisals and top buy prices for your cards. Check Check out justcollect.com today.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back, and we are chatting with Brian Dwyer of REA Auctions. Johnny's in the house, JM. I talked to Rico today. He's on the road too, you know.
What's he doing?
He's driving home.
Oh, from Florida.
Yeah.
Nice.
He and Elsie are driving home. They take their time.
Yep. Are you meeting them on the way or anything? Or
I told him I'd meet him at what's the name of that place? South of the border. You know, the place that's like is falling apart. I told him I'd meet him there for a hot dog. But yeah, they're on their way back. So it's going to be good to get back.
Y'all are coming back. I love it.
I'll tell you, he was telling me that he's got a really busy summer. I guess the Red Sox are loading them up this summer.
So how long does he stay in Florida the whole winter season like you, or?
Yeah, he gets there right after Christmas and stays till the middle of April.
Does he have gigs that he sets up down there?
Yeah, he's right near the ballpark. So they
beautiful.
do.
Yeah.
You know something? This stuff that he does, I don't even want to hear it. I tell him that. It's talk about a no-show job. You know, Rico, you're going to throw a uniform on and go schmooze with these people, or pretend you're giving this single A player some instruction. You know.
Puts his hand on his shoulder and points down. Yeah, right.
And they pay him for that. It's just crazy. But he's got a lot of gigs lined up for the Red Sox this summer.
Good for
I guess
him.
they're tapping into some of the old time ball players like himself and Tion.
They should.
Lonborg. Yeah, Yaz has got some health issues. Dwight Evans. I guess they're going to be doing a lot with
They
those
better
guys.
tap into the old guys, because without Duvall, the new guys might not.
I know.
That's,
Hey, Brian,
that's when you know the Red Sox are rough, when they always bring out Ortiz. The more you see David Ortiz in the field, the worse the Red Sox are doing. Remember this guy?
Exactly. Brian, explain to our internet audience, what do you mean by internet lots only?
Yeah, so we talked about earlier how long it takes us to put together these auctions, and so there's with these catalog auctions, there's print deadlines, and we have to get the files to our printer a couple weeks before the auction starts. So invariably, items will come in after the deadline, and people want to get them in the auction, but they don't appear in the catalog. So it's an opportunity for someone to come and put their item in our auction, but it only appears on our website. And that's what we mean by internet only items.
Do you get a lot of for your catalog? Do you get a lot of online visual? I mean, do a lot of people go through the catalog online?
People definitely do go through the catalog online. We offer a digital catalog. We offer obviously our bidding platform to go lot by lot. We send out thousands of these hard copy catalogs. We set up at shows to allow people to come in and look at items. We're actually, for the first time ever, doing a pop-up event this week, Thursday and Friday, with Just Collect, who's another advertiser here on the show, in New Jersey. We're actually going to be at the Just Collect store with.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago on the air with Leighton. Yeah, they were really excited about it.
So we're really excited about it too. It's going to be an opportunity for us to show off 50 or 100 maybe of our biggest and best items. It'll be an opportunity for people to come out and see items in person in a very intimate setting that they maybe have never seen before. So we're excited. So there's a lot of different ways that people can see the material and interact with the material, and we're just trying to make sure that people see it and get a chance to bid on it.
You guys have a great catalog. You do. JM, you don't get the catalog. I get it.
Yeah.
Between them, like Memory Lane, and you know what the best reading is? Right in the bathroom, man. That is great. I'm not kidding, man. It's great bathroom reading, like you would not believe. And you can really take your time. You go through it. It's awesome. It really is awesome.
Brian, you mentioned what you're going to be doing with Just Collect, and it reminded me of when we saw you at the National this past year, and your setup there was outstanding. But even more than the items you had, which were great, and the place looked great and awesome, is that you guys looked like you really were enjoying that kind of interaction, that being there face to face with the fans, with the collectors, as opposed to the just being online with an auction. You must be looking forward to the Just Collect thing, but just talk about that a little bit. You can feel the cards, you can touch the cards, you can talk to yourself and talk to the fans. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered it a number of times. Obviously, I've been on with you guys many times over the years. I got my start as a little kid, so I mean, I'm a collector. I love this stuff. Any opportunity I get to be around other collectors, share the passion, see the excitement. You hand a kid Babe Ruth's bat. You show even a grown man a Babe Ruth baseball that looks like it is the best one in the world. That's really exciting. Some people have never seen a Mickey Mantle rookie card or a T206 Wagner in person. So we love the shows. We love the National. We're excited about the Just Collect event. Anything to get out and meet people and build relationships, because relationships is really what builds our auctions. Whether people come in as bidders or buyers. Generally the more relationship you have with someone, the more likely they are to do business with you.
Yep.
Brian, are you going to have a presence at the Altman show at all?
We will be up there. Yep.
Oh, you won't. You won't be there, but some of your crew will be there?
Correct. Yeah. So we have a booth up there and, that Boston area, big hotbed. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is a pretty strong area, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I mentioned this, something you may want to look into. I mentioned this to, was it last week when Rico was on? I can't remember who we mentioned. Oh, Brian Trent. Chris Costa, don't you, John?
Yeah.
Well, Chris is doing Chris Costa. His dad is a huge Boston personality in the city, and Chris is doing a card show at Fenway Park in May, at the end of May, right on the concourse, and they're calling it the Fenway Card Show. So the Red Sox have bought into it. And he called me up. You may want to follow up on this, Brian, because he asked me, he said, Zap, he said, listen, he said, we don't want to overload the show with modern and ultra modern, businesses. He says, can you mention to some of your advertisers that we'd love some vintage guys in there. So, and it's going to be on the concourse. It's going to be a pretty big show and a pretty good show. And I think it's going to be an annual show. So something you may want to look into.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Brian, flats. Let's talk about signed flats. I mean, really, really a hot item right now between whether it be an index card or a signed card. Talk about that. I mean, signed cards have really, really caught on fire.
They have, yeah. So, we're seeing a big push for signed rookie cards. Used to be taboo to get your card signed, but now the hobby seems to be really placing a significant value on signed rookies, and especially high grade signed rookies. Like we have a Griffey, 89 Upper Deck Griffey 9 with a 10 autograph. That's selling for many, many multiples of what just a regular 9 would sell for. So, we have a T206 Rube Marquard signed.
Wow.
Those are cards that used to be sent through the mail and people would sign them. Wayner signed cards. I mean, just, guys that lived into the 70s or even the late 60s that were doing through the mail in the earliest days of the hobby. And then you get the traditional flats, like we have contracts. We have a bunch of Gabby Hartnett contracts. We have Grover Alexander payroll checks. We have a Babe Ruth check made out to Claire Ruth, graded an 8. We have signed index cards. We have cut signatures. We have, Satchel Paige signed picture pack from the 47 Indians rookie year, 48 Indians. So, it's flats take on a number of different shapes and sizes, but they're all really cool and fun to collect.
Interesting.
I mean, the contract thing to me has blown up. It's like that's just become such a big thing especially over the last year or so. Anyway, just seeing it, whether it's doing show research on auction houses or it just comes up in conversation on the show. Why is that to you, Brian? Why has that become two-parter? Why do you think they've become so popular? And where the hell do these? I mean, do they come from people that worked for the team or were around the team? What are your thoughts on that and the source of these? Because we're seeing them a lot now in these auctions.
Yeah, so I mean, I can speak to, we are probably the industry leader in contracts. I think we have sold more contracts than any other auction house. And typically, especially in the case of a lot of the Chicago Cubs contracts that we've been offering over the last couple of years, they came from a former executive with the team. He was a GM at one point in time. He was a business manager at another.
Yep.
And, the club's doing renovation and they're cleaning out and they say, hey, throw this out. And some guys just said, I'm going to keep it. And they put it in their basement and then they die. And then their family has to, just dispose of them. So with respect to the Hartnett and the Alexanders and the Foxes and all those that we've had lately, they came from someone related to the Cubs.
I love mine, Brian. I bought one.
You got one from that collection?
Yeah, from that collection. I have a Grover Cleveland, 1922 Grover Cleveland signed contract, signed in 2 places. That's one of my favorite pieces. It's JM, his DNA is on it. You know what I mean? You open it up, you read the contract.
It was sitting in front of the guy, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, right,
awesome.
exactly.
That's the answer as to why they've become so popular, right? The player had them in their hands. That they were integral to something that the player was doing that year. And meaning in Alexander's case, if he won the pitching Triple Crown that year, boom, this is the contract that set him on this path. Ted Williams, we sold Ted Williams' rookie contract recently, $192,000. This is what Ted Williams signed as an 18-year-old. We sold Jackie Robinson's 49 contract, his MVP season, for almost $300,000.
That's unbelievable.
These were in their hands. These are business documents. The signatures are good. So they're really special. They're cool and they're fun for us to handle.
Yeah.
Brian, game used bats. You have quite a few of them. They haven't lost their luster at all, have they?
No, as a matter of fact, I mean, I think they've gained in popularity. I've always been kind of beating the drum of game used memorabilia and the value that they represent compared to some of these cards. We have a game used Willie McCovey bat in this auction, and you look at what that bat's going to cost relative to high grade cards from early in his career, and it's a no brainer. I mean, again, talk about being in his hands. This is something that he knocked out hits and homers with potentially. So we've got this collection that I mentioned earlier that we picked up in January has over 100 game used bats that'll be coming up for sale in the summer and the fall. And I like them, and I think they're still a good bargain, compared to other parts of the hobby.
We talked a little bit earlier about guys that have maybe a mythical quality about them, and Zap mentioned, we talked about Mathewson, Walter Johnson. I think if there's two guys that epitomize class in baseball, getting back to cards a little bit, I think Joe Dimaggio and Sandy Koufax, very similar in personality. They were stars. They were bigger than life stars. And you have a 39 Dimaggio play ball PSA 9 and a 55 Topps Koufax, also a 9. Can you talk about those two items a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, both tremendous cards. I mean, to your point, both top tier Hall of Famers, very widely collected, very revered figures, passionate fan bases. The play ball DiMaggio, this is a card that's really tough to find in high grade. Play balls had all sorts of different condition flaws. They were made on poor paper. They didn't survive in this type of condition. And so to see that DiMaggio, I mean, that's a card that's going to sell for 100,000 plus, and it's worth every penny, in my opinion. The 55 Koufax, again, first year for Koufax, first year that Topps made horizontal cards. It's got a lot of cool features going for it. It pairs well with the Clemente, which, you talked about earlier. We have in a 9 as well. So great cards. We're thrilled to have them in any grade. There's buyers for them in any grade. When you get them in 9s, it's extra special.
Does Koufax still sign?
To the best of my knowledge, I mean, he does limited signings. I think he's got an exclusive autograph deal, and they'll maybe do a limited private signing. But to the best of my knowledge,
Brian, what is your thought? Switching gears for a minute, what's your thought on the whole dynamic of what's happened in the card industry with Panini and Topps and all that? Is it good? Is it bad? Are you curious, or what's your overall opinion on the whole Panini thing?
Yeah, so I mean, from where I sit, I don't know that it's good or bad. I think it's all very interesting, and I think that we won't know really how it all plays out until a couple years down the line. I think that it's ultimately a lot of the innovation is going to be great for bringing in young collectors, and I think that you're going to see some new cool stuff. I mean, this Topps rookie debut patch that they're doing, I mean, I think that's ingenious. So I'm excited to see what some of this activity does and the innovations that it bring. I don't know that it'll be negative, but I guess the jury's still out.
Let's talk about third-party grading. I mean, PSA is the gold standard still, in my opinion, and in the opinion of most collectors, for third-party grading. But there seems to be a lot of grading companies that are popping up. Are those companies are they going to stick around? Are they going to be around? Because, I mean, personally, again, I know this is a big PSA sponsored show, but I mean, are you going to roll the dice on a really high end card and give it to a newly formed grading company? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I think that PSA and the other companies like SGC and Beckett, they have staying power, right? They've been around for decades. They have big, wide collecting bases. They have significant resale history, and you kind of know what you're going to get and what you can expect. And I think that ultimately is going to be the challenge and the barrier to a lot of these new companies sticking around, is that there's not going to be that robust secondary market. There's not going to be that robust collector base that is out there buying and supporting and building sets in those holders. And so I think that ultimately, no, that a lot of these newly formed companies are not going to have the longevity. You do have to realize, though, that PSA's shutting down, obviously, a couple of years ago. That was the impetus and the genesis of a lot of these companies. You had a 13 million card backlog, and people couldn't submit cards, and so people said, well, let's see if we can meet a need. Obviously, PSA has done a good job of reducing that backlog and making it so that people can submit cards. So, I think that as long as PSA and the other major grading companies are firing on all cylinders, it's going to be tougher for these, newly formed companies to stick around.
Brian, you have a 1956 Topps complete set in this auction. I'm just using this as a springboard for this question, because is there a decision-making process when you get something like that to either keep it as a complete set or break out, some of the cards that are in that set? Because obviously there are some great individual cards in that set. What's that thought process like? And talk about the this particular set in your auction.
Yeah, so I mean, this 56 top set, it's all 8. It's a handful of sets that we've chosen to keep together. We've got an 86 Fleer basketball set in all 10s, just missing Jordan.
Yep.
We've got 65 baseball in all 8s. We've got 69 basketball in all 8s. In each of those instances, it was the discussion with the consignor as to how they wanted it presented.
Gotcha.
So on these big ticket items, we will have consultation with the consignors.
Yep.
And say, here's what we can do. Where do you fall on the spectrum? A lot of people say, I built it, I want to sell it like I built it, card by card. And other people say, I want to keep it intact because it was 10 years of my life, So
do you advise them? Do you give them your advice in that conversation? This might sell better, things like that, or?
So in the case of these 4 sets, I mean, they're so mainstream. There's no hidden value, really. I mean, I think that selling them, we had no qualms presenting them complete because we know they're going to reach their value.
Right.
Certainly on some of these other sets, like T206, we advise people to break up T206 sets because there's more nuances. There's more potential for, back variations and people building sets in 5s versus 1s. Sometimes these really mixed grade sets don't reach their full value unless they're broken up. So yeah, we give people our advice, but in the case of those sets that I just mentioned, I mean, they're gonna sell for what they're worth, intact or apart.
We are chatting with Brian Dwyer from REA Auctions. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. Brian's going to stick with us. I think Jared from Pristine is going to be joining us. Hang in there. We will be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Kavile and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
With record-breaking sales from everything from the white border T206 Honus Wagner for $3.12 million to some great items that support the Jackie Robinson Foundation, Golden Auctions has set the highest standards for the finest in sports cards, autographs, and game-used memorabilia. We're always accepting consignments of high-end premium sports treasures or entire collections. Please register for our next auction and bid now at goldenauctions.com. That's golden with an I. We at Golden Auctions are committed to providing unsurpassed customer service for the discriminating collector. That's exactly why we're the leader in the industry. Visit goldenauctions.com or call 856-767-8550. Remember, Golden Auctions. We don't just break records, we shatter them.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on the tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden Auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
They are prized possessions, and you need a place to store them that is safe and secure. The eBay Vault is exactly that. An insured, climate-controlled facility with state-of-the-art security that guards your valuable collection around the clock. Your Vault account is protected by two-step verification and easily accessible through eBay Collection. And everything stored in the eBay Vault is backed by Authenticity Guarantee. Buying and selling is a seamless experience. When you buy an eligible card on eBay, it can be sent directly to the eBay Vault at checkout. Or, if it's already in the eBay Vault, you can just keep it there. And selling from the eBay Vault is just as easy. Every card in the vault has been expertly inspected, detailed, and photographed, so you can quickly sell it with a pre-populated listing. And if your buyer chooses to withdraw their card from the eBay Vault, we handle packing, shipping, and insurance. And same goes for you. If you want that rare rookie card in your hands, you can have it shipped to you at any time. Collect like a pro with the eBay Vault.
And remember that the eBay Vault is climate controlled, insured, and protected with 24-hour security. Soon, you'll be able to send cards already in your collection directly to the eBay Vault. They will take high-quality photos of the front and back of the card and document all the details for your viewing pleasure and to make the listing-to-sell process seamless. For more info, go to ebay.com, connecting buyers and sellers globally.
Okay, here we are back for our last segment. We've got about 12 minutes, and in with us now is another dear sponsor, a great sponsor of the show, been with us for a long time, Jared Kavile from Pristine Auctions. You know, Brian and Jared, they're kind of friendly competitors, not really the same market, but they both shine at what they do. Jared, how you doing?
Yeah, doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
Hey, Jared.
Jared, I just shake my head when I go onto your website. Like Brian, you guys just have thousands of items, an amazing array of baseball, basketball, historical documents. Right now, it seems as though you're really heavy in baseball items.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is somewhat out of our control. You know, it's whatever really is in market, whatever people are sending, whatever's coming through the back door is really what's hitting the site. So sometimes we'll have little specialty auctions, and of course, with baseball just starting, we'll usually look for those items specifically, just because what's hot in collectibles is usually what's happening now. So that's why you see probably more baseball than usual.
How does the whole concept of the 10-minute auction, I mean, that's like, talk about a creative marketing thing. How does it work?
Yeah, it's funny because that's probably the biggest thing we get asked, especially for those who are just kind of checking out our site. or those who aren't even really into collectibles and look at our site, that's one of the first things people ask. But yeah, essentially that's exactly what it is there's 10 items that are only live for 10 minutes. You don't know what's coming. However, something that's kind of new to our site is currently only on our app, but you can actually see the schedule for the next day, or like the upcoming schedule for that day, and set up alerts so that you can get them. So you don't necessarily have to be on the site all day long to see what's coming up.
And there's no reserve, right? There's no reserve.
No reserve, yeah. No extended bidding there. So, most auctions with us, and standard for most auction houses is that has extended bidding. So it's kind of like the going once, going twice sold method at the end.
Yeah.
And our extended bidding is 10 minutes on each lot. So if there's a new bid under 10 minutes, it goes back to 10 minutes. In a 10-minute auction, it doesn't. So it's literally the second it ends, it's over, and the highest bidder gets it. So it creates some pretty wild bidding sometimes. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, Jared, I noticed right at the top of your auction, you have Patrick Mahomes item, Travis Kelce. I want to talk to you a little bit about Mahomes. And Brian, you can jump in on this too as well. With that last Super Bowl now, I mean, is he getting up into that category now of a guy that you really need to watch? You could become one of these special type iconic figures in the hobby? Because I think he's getting there if he's not there already.
He's no Mac Jones. He's no Mac Jones.
Well, it brings up an interesting topic because you kind of laugh about Mac Jones. I mean, people are paying Mahomes prices for Mac Jones because they expect, it's crazy what people pay for prospects, right?
Yeah, right.
So Mahomes has kind of always been priced where he is, I think. I mean, from as far back as I've looked, for months, for years, really. People expected this out of Mahomes, so he's achieved it, and I don't know that it really boosts his value. I mean, it kind of does when as soon as he wins a Super Bowl, you see a little boost.
Yeah,
but then it's kind of back where it's always been because he's just always been hot.
Well, Brady,
he's one of the.
Go ahead.
He's one of the guys who's actually met those expectations, and you actually haven't probably lost on that investment.
I always say now,
some others haven't.
Tom Brady has wrecked everything for everyone now in football. And by the way, Tom Brady had to win 5 Super Bowls before they said he was better than Joe Montana. It's like now you got to go win 8. It's just crazy,
Hey, I'm going to ask both of you guys this question because I know you sometimes are a little strong on historical documents, Jared. You've got one. The Lincoln William Seward one. By the way, JM, do you know who William Seward is?
I used to.
He was the guy, the night that Lincoln was assassinated, they tried to whack him also.
Okay.
He was in bed.
Yeah.
They stabbed him.
Yeah, I did
He was the secretary, I think the Secretary of War.
Right.
So that's a pretty cool piece. Jared, you get into historical pieces quite a bit. And Brian, you get into historical pieces now and then. Talk about that, both of you guys, real quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm a historical expert by any means. I think that I was a little bit lost on that one as well. Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of whatever gets consigned to us. Anything that's collectible, that's desirable and authentic, we'll offer in our auction. So, and yeah, some of that stuff is pretty wild to see.
It's
it's
crazy.
not the everyday item that you see coming through the door when it's something like that.
Brian, how about you?
Yeah, we're very much the same. I mean, we will accept stuff if we think we can do well with it, right? So you'll never see like a Ming vase in our auction, but there's a lot of crossover. You'll see coins, you'll see comics, you'll see historical documents, and I actually own a Lincoln myself because I look at him and I think, I paid $8,800 for my Lincoln signed commission, and Shohei Ohtani stuff's going for multiples of that. It's a little bit of a disconnect in my mind. So I think it represents a good value, and we love getting them in.
Clean Sweep Auctions a couple of years back had a Mother Teresa. I bid on it. I lost. I thought it would be kind of cool to have a Mother Teresa autograph. You know what I mean? Hey, Jared, talk about the Pristine Auctions race team. That is really cool.
Yeah. Racing has become kind of a passion of mine. Because of it, we grew up here in Phoenix, going to church with the family, the Boat family, and he raced in the Indy 500. So one of my favorite things growing up was watching him race the Indy 500, and then you'd see him on church on Sunday. It was the coolest thing ever. So growing up watching him, and then he stopped racing, of course, retired, and then I fell out of love with racing because when you know somebody, when you have a kind of a horse in the race, it's a totally different game.
Absolutely.
It makes it completely different. So his son started racing, Chad, who I've known all these years, and we started sponsoring him on his race team. They were pretty low budget, so he didn't have a ton of success. He was super talented, but didn't really raise up the ranks like some of the other kids. But now he owns a dirt team. And so a lot of the guys, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, all these guys who go down to race dirt, Chad Boat has one of the top dirt racing teams. And so we've sponsored him for a lot of years, still do. And so that's gotten my passion to grow, getting to know some of these guys. Christopher Bell raced for him for a while. I've gotten to know him really well. They actually just won this last Sunday. So, once you have a dog in a fight, man, it's just a lot of fun to watch. So we sponsor several guys.
Are you still doing works with Identity Hoops International?
We're not working with them directly anymore. We have a relationship with them, but we aren't working with them directly anymore. But we do. Hope Sports is one that we still work with very closely. We send a team there. We try every year, maybe every other. This last year, we brought our kids with us, and it was one of the coolest experiences ever. It's a great team building experience, and then of course we get to build a home for a family, so it changes their lives.
Brian, what about REA? Do you guys do any behind the scenes donations, charity work, things like that?
Yeah, so we've actually used our platform to hold auctions for certain charities. Couple in the February auction, we helped a consignor raise $35,000. We donated all of our commissions based on what he sold for a charity down in Alabama. So yeah, we love using our platform to give back wherever we can.
Both of you guys were very, very helpful. I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, we did a fundraiser for the Jimmy Fund at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And both of you guys donated some really cool stuff, and we raised like $25,000 in 2 hours. So it was a very successful. They were thrilled, we were thrilled, and guys like you really, really helped us out. JM?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask Jared, in the hobby, there's kind of the pros and cons back and forth on, an item that has multiple signatures on it. But there's a really cool item, and I don't always talk about Yankee stuff, but you have a Yankee signed jersey that has a lot of the guys from those 90s teams, those late 90s teams that did really well. You have Posada, Williams, Cone, and others, Matsui, Bog. Can you talk about that item a little bit? It was really cool.
Yeah, you're teaching me here. There's so many items on the site that I don't always see them all myself. But when you bring up a topic like that, it's always an interesting thing as an autograph collector. So I used to chase autographs here in Phoenix, and I would never really get people on the same item. So obviously it's a cool item and people love it. And there's some guys, some of the lower tier guys on the team, they don't really belong on their own item. So it makes a lot of sense to put them on as a team. But when you have some of those superstars, the Derek Jeters, the Posadas, Clemens, all those guys on one item, you actually would probably make a lot more putting them on separate items as a collector. It depends. I mean, everyone has their preference. A team item is, of course, highly.
But as a big, if you're a big Yankee fan, though, that's a neat item to go after, have all those guys on there at once.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, not a ton of those out there. And for that reason, because a lot of collectors are going to try to get them on individual items, versus putting them all on the same one. So it makes it a little more rare.
Hey, we have a couple of minutes left. How are your Diamondbacks going to do this year?
I don't know. You tell me. I've kind of been out of that game because the Diamondbacks have disappointed us for so many years. I'm more of a basketball guy here, and obviously basketball.
Oh, Suns, yeah.
We always tell Ken they're going to win the National this year. They're going to win it all. That's every time we communicate.
Hey, listen, Jared, we might have
that for many years.
We might have a Celtics Suns NBA Finals this year. That could happen.
Let's do it. I'd love that. Actually, my nephew is a big Celtics fan, so that might be a little sketchy, but we'll do it.
And Brian, of course, you get your Yankees, correct?
I mean, I grew up in a Mets household, but yeah, Yankees dominate the conversation here locally. But speaking of disappointments, I mean, we got a lot of Knicks fans around here too. So.
Oh. Yeah, let me tell you something. The Red Sox suck. We all know that. They stink. However, with that being said, we very, very well could have an NBA championship and an NHL championship this year. So I'll take that.
Yeah.
I will certainly take that.
I have something to say about that, but all right.
Right.
Sons are going to have something to say about that.
Both of you guys going to be at the National, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Chicago's a great venue. It's a great venue. I think it's the best national venue. That there's some changes. Everybody knows there's changes that are coming about with the National after this year. I think it's all for the good. Joe and his crew are coming in, Joe Drellick, and, John is exiting. John's done a great job too. So we're going from good hands into good hands, So, all right, listen, guys, we're just about out of time. Jared, thank you so much. Your website address?
Yeah, pristineauction.com.
Pristine Auctions. And Brian, as always, good luck with your auction. You guys have both done a great job. You're great supporters of the show. Let me tell you something. Our numbers have been off the charts.
Yeah.
Even we don't know what the hell's going on. But I mean, they have been off the charts. I mean, like, are you like, it's like amazing. I think my kids are watching it now, my grandkids. But anyway, that's what it is. Both of you guys, thank you so much for taking the time. Jay, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the studio.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to having you back here, buddy. It'll be great.
And Chrissy, the same thing with you. At least she has some beauty to her. We'll be seeing you guys in the studio. Rico's on his way back, so we're all going to be back together. With that being said, we love you guys, and happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.